Warning, this is an alternative scenario. This is not based off any realism whatsoever. So yeah. What if Germany was still... They're not one of the lessons from World War II. Okay? And that Germany was rebuilding, recreating its army. And in the modern day, Germany has made an alliance with an unlikely ally. But we're not going to get to him later. But Germany created anti-EU with their allies, and 2016, Trump was elected as America's president, like he is in real life, and Germany in this year and Austria agreed to reunite again. This is condemned by all of the West, and Austria and many countries accuse Germany of illegally annexing Austria, which again Austria is, but the leader of Germany, the leader of Germany said, "Oh, but Austria is still German," and then later on also in 2014, Russia also annexed the Crimea in the same manner. This is a big problem for the new Allied powers. The new Allied powers consist of currently the UK, France, Canada, which... Do I have to fill out all these islands? Okay, I'm not going to fill out... Well, it'll be for realism, so I might fill out all these islands. And there are two opposing viewpoints in this world. That is one here. Nationalism versus liberalism. Donald Trump basically says they're not going to intervene with the war, with any war in Europe. As Trump wants to put America first, not Europe first. Which basically means the new Allies alliance mostly consists of former Commonwealth states mostly. No, mostly the Commonwealth states. So Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the islands in the Caribbean as well. Japan, however, unlike Germany, was still rebuilt by the US, which makes them a Western ally. But Germany makes an alliance with China, with China, just like Japan World War II, invades Taiwan. This sparks outrage across East Asia and Southeast Asia, causing countries like the Philippines, Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan to be giving money to Taiwan. The only countries that are helping China in this battle is Russia and Germany. Those are the countries helping China in this war. As the war goes on, Germany basically says they want back this part of the Sudetenland, which they take it back, even though it's mostly non-German now, due to the Soviet Union. The collapse, the Czech Republic joins the Allied countries in a response, and Slovakia joins as well. Ukraine also joins the Allied alliance because Germany makes the fabled alliance. They make an alliance with Hungary, led by Viktor Orban, and Russia, led by Vladimir Putin. Then, I don't know who's the leader of the AFD, but yeah, whoever the leader of the AFD is would probably be the leader as well, or some other guy. This new access is a big threat to democracy around the world. Poland, in a surprising twist, joins this new axis as well, because Poland is because of the Law and Justice Party is the anti-EU party. The EU condemns Poland and Hungary for betraying him, and are both kicked out of the EU. The EU makes the alliance bigger by accepting Netherlands, Belgium, Spain, Portugal into the war, into the battle, and Greece as well. Germany decided to make it around 2017. The world economy for some reason crashes. Similar to the Great Depression, this reads the economy. The world economy crashed in 2008. That's the whole reason why Trump got elected in this timeline, because of the economic collapse of 2008 became a Great Depression, which was very bad. And also there was a pandemic in the 2000s as well, similar to the Spanish flu. Maybe SARS just broke out of China like the COVID pandemic did. Russia also makes another unlikely ally, Iran. Due to both Iran and Germany's distaste of Israel and, a certain group of people that we can't name on this channel, because of the controversies of a certain guy on there, Iran joins the new Axis powers as well. So does Syria, but Syria is still in a civil war. The Germans, alongside with the Polish and Hungarians and Russians, all eradicate the rebels in Syria, cementing Syria into the alliance. Israel, scared of the war, scared of the Middle Eastern alliance, joins the war. Joins the Entente alliance. Japan and South Korea declare war. Several Asian countries declare war on China, saying that Chinese aggression is not welcome in the Pacific. And without the United States' help, it is their sole reason to stop Chinese expansion before it's too late. Several countries go on to fight China, including Indonesia, Malaysia, as well. This is before China started projecting the power into Asia like they have done over the past decade. China basically says, okay, then screw you all, and, does what China does best. Say, we have more people than you, but China still has one friend, that's North Korea. So North Korea joins as well. This is one of the worst already in this conflict between most of Asia and China is one of the worst conflicts we have seen since the Vietnam War. China is basically taking on literally all of Asia at this point. Some countries in Southeast Asia and Korea and Japan. And without the USA, they all really have to work together because China has way more people than all of these countries combined, having around 1.4 billion people. But South Korea and Japan are advanced militaries, and Indonesia has a large army as well, and Vietnam. The war in Vietnam is a stalemate. Kim Jong-un starts the ferocious assault on South Korea. As well. Back to Japanese troops. South Korea's army retreats. North Korea's army retreats to an area where they can't really fight. The war in Europe has basically become a powder cake, and it might explode at any moment. The Baltic countries, out of fear of Russia, instead of joining the alliance, they stay neutral for at least a moment. Same thing with the Nordic countries. And now, Germany demands a small land from Denmark. This outrages the Allied powers, making them declare war on each other. Denmark following with the rest of the Nordic countries join. Poland and Hungary also join. France and the UK join. So far, the war is between Germany, Denmark, France, and the UK. The invasion of Denmark begins. Within a couple hours, Denmark is about to surrender. But the UK and French troops arrive. Germany is pushed back, at least for now. This prompts Norway to join. As they know what happened, as Norway clearly remembers what happened last war. Sweden, not wanting to do what happened last time, also declares war on Germany. Germany gets the two allies to help in the war. Meanwhile, the war in Asia continues. South Korea is able to break through. North Korea is able to break through the defenses. And Taiwan is basically under control. Unlike the certain mustache man that we cannot name, Germany has said that we may need to make alliances with communists to achieve our goal of defeating the democratic so-called barbarians of the West, which is really what the German leader said in the war against Denmark. Germany, with the help of Poland and Hungary, is able to defeat Denmark and are now pushing on to Sweden. The battle for the North countries begin. A puppet government is instated in Denmark. The new Danish country is created by Germany. Country is invaded by Germany. The war in Norway continues. The war in the Nordics continue. Despite all the help, most of the populated areas of Sweden are conquered. Same thing with Norway. Which means they're basically about to surrender. At the same time, Netherlands, Belgium, France, and Spain and Portugal join the war. Same thing with Czech Republic and Slovakia. And the Ukraine joins the war. This causes Russia to join the war to attack the Ukraine. This also prompts Romania to join the war to help Ukraine. In this timeline, Poland isn't really the best buddies with Ukraine. It's really Romania, so Romania is the country. So is Bulgaria, and the rest of the EU is prompted to join. But Italy mysteriously does not join. Italy wishes to remain neutral in the conflict. And also North Macedonia isn't allowed to join because of Greece. Which angers North Macedonia to join to betray the EU. Since America said they're not going to help in the war, the EU literally says we're gonna get everybody to join the war. Iran also joins the war along with Kazakhstan. This war has gotten very bad. The invasion of the Czech Republic begins, where it doesn't really take that long. It was even shorter than the invasion of. It was not short as the invasion of Denmark, but it was very short. With very little countries to help, well, yeah. Russia starts a full-scale assault on Ukraine. And yeah, this takes place in 2020, so you know what pandemic comes around. Also coming out of China, the COVID pandemic still appears. Yep. Just because there was a pandemic in the 2000s, that was the SARS pandemic or some flu, doesn't mean COVID-19 still won't happen. So COVID-19 still happens. Which makes the pandemic much worse, like the Spanish flu, because the pandemic came around during the peacetime. The reason why the Spanish flu was so deadly and so effective was simply because of World War One. The severity of World War One made the flu pandemic, way worse. COVID spreads outside China in February. Before it spreads around the rest of the world, Germany occupies the rest of the Netherlands and starts invading Belgium. Germany annexes these areas around May, but COVID also now reaches Italy as well. And also the invasion of Slovakia begins. Slovakia's army isn't really that big, so Slovakia surrenders within a month. Lithuania, the Baltic states are swiftly captured as well. But the Baltic states are actually holding better than most people would think. Also during the time, there's a stalemate mostly in Sweden and Norway, as now they're invading the more mountainous parts of the countries, which are going to be the harder parts to invade. The Norwegian government moved to a country like Canada so they could operate from there. The COVID pandemic kills way more than the normal timeline, simply because of the war. In countries that are not aligned with the war, the death amount stays the same. But Europe is catastrophic. Same thing with Asia. Asia is considered one of the worst affected continents from COVID, due to the mass war on the continent taking on this current place. The Chinese are able to break into Vietnam. Now a bit more as well. China officially annexes Taiwan. Syria is the last of the powers to join, which causes Israel to join the war. And Cyprus finally joins the war as well. Which also causes Turkey to join the war because Northern Cyprus is still exists, which means Greece and its allies are able to make short work of North Macedonia. Since North Macedonia doesn't really have that strong of an army, North Macedonia surrenders within a couple weeks. Slovenia isn't really invaded that much either as well, because Slovenia is just a small country. But they started invading Slovenia because they forgot Slovenia existed as well. The war will have at least 1 million excess deaths, mostly from COVID, in Europe, and 4 to 5 million in Asia, mostly from COVID. And China, Vietnam, and Japan are the three worst, and the Korean Peninsula are the three worst affected countries. Nobody knows how many people truly died in South and North Korea from COVID, but they said it was likely in the hundreds of thousands, much more than the official numbers reported on both North and South Korean sides. Same thing with Europe. Norway and Sweden officially surrender. The Finnish government not knowing they can't really fight against the Germans and basically peace out with them so they don't get the land taken away. Now it's the massive front against Eastern Europe. In April, Greece starts getting invaded by Turkey alongside with Bulgaria. And Cyprus is annexed by Northern Cyprus. Create two separate nations since as well. Despite the USA is still sending arms to Ukraine and Israel, but yeah, they have not officially entered the war either. The Commonwealth, I forgot, officially entered when the UK declared war. So yes, Canada was one of the first countries to declare the war. The USA, however, does not join the war mostly due to political unrest. Because of the Great Depression in the United States, stuff like BLM and the Summer of Love basically happen almost every week. Trump basically said, I promise I'm gonna fix it. And he does fix it basically by imposing martial law in America. To basically fix it. Because there's a Republican majority, Trump's able to do it really easily. So before the midterms come around. Iceland also joins the war. The first country outside of Europe and the Americas and Asia joins the war. And Benin joins the war on the side of the Allies. Oh yes, the Allies get the best supporter, Benin. In May, continuing in May, the war in Europe gets worse, as the coastal areas of Romania and Bulgaria are captured. Russian army basically makes it throughout the Ukraine to block off access to the sea, which is a thing what Putin sort of done. But, yeah. And also the interior is scrubbed up a bit more. The Ukrainian government is basically decided to flee to Canada. Romania also surrenders alongside Greece and Croatia. The Balkan Peninsula has officially fallen in the hands. Serbia also joins the war. And North Macedonia is reinstated. Here. And Romania is created as a puppet state. And Russia annexes the 4 regions of Ukraine, like they annexed in real life. On this disastrous situation, Europe calls on America to help. But due to civil unrest in America does not join. During this time, America is fighting a civil war now, which causes America to further isolate itself from Europe, which is a pretty bad thing. America is going to need a second Pearl Harbor or 9/11 to really join the war against again in Europe. Nationalist parties are instated in most of the countries. Trees. Germany and Denmark agree to get that small bit of land back. Apparently, Germany used to own, this used to be like a German area, but for some reason that no longer is. So, yeah. Serbia also joins the war as well. Uganda. Several countries in Africa joined the side of the Allies, which are the East African Federation members, or the East African Community, join. India also joins in the help of the Allies, which causes Pakistan to therefore declare war on India for some reason. Also, the U.S. also leaves Afghanistan at this point. The last U.S. troop leaves, which means the Taliban took over. Taliban stay neutral. They don't join the war. Iraq also joins the war. Israel, however, is able to hold against the Russian army, the Iranian army, the Iraqi army, the Syrian army, which again, they're not really that strong, and the Turkish army at the same time. Whereas again, they were able to hold against Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, and all those other countries back in the day. Due to the successes in Eastern Europe, France basically surrenders. France doesn't surrender unlike in our timeline. And there's a very brutal war in the French countryside. But eventually, after months of grueling war, the French government runs away, though surrenders. However, before the French government surrenders, there's several more francophone countries in Africa join the war. Except for Chad, because Chad is too sad for war. Ethiopia, is angry about Egypt for, of course, it. Egypt and Ethiopia declare a separate war against each other. Nothing really happens except for another refugee crisis, because neither side is able to win. Because Egypt is basically starving. Ethiopia eventually is able to starve out Ethiopia, but this is basically the equivalent to the Winter War. Sudan doesn't know whose side to pick, so it's basically just a Cold War. But Sudan is invaded by both parties. Basically, the Sudanese government collapses. Split into two Sudans, North and South Sudan. South Sudan joined the East African Community because of this. And Kenya also agrees that this is a part of South Sudan along with Ethiopia. There's a stalemate currently right now because Germany currently for some reason is unable to pass through it, and a greater French country is formed with a new government. Meanwhile, currently most of the fighting is done in Asia. South Korea, due to their more advanced technology, is still able to push back North Korea. Most of the troops now being used is mostly Chinese troops. Japan learns what it's like to be America the hard way. China struggles in Vietnam, like America did. Vietnam is a country known for fighting back against gigantic countries much bigger in size. China even attempts a naval invade for areas, and Vietnam is able to push them out. The war against Vietnam has basically stalemated. Meanwhile, China begins an invasion of the Philippines. This is one of the shorter wars in history, but there are mass protests now in Egypt and a mass refugee crisis, where it is mostly fighting Spain and Portugal and UK and Ireland. Considering that the far-right governments are saying basically no to it, so yeah, this makes more countries like Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, and of course the UK, Ireland, Spain, and Portugal, be more overran with migrants, whereas they start rejecting after a while. There's too many. So most of them have to flee to neighboring Libya, Chad, Jordan, they even have to move to Saudi Arabia, UAE. They mostly start moving to the Gulf states after Europe starts rejecting them. The war ends basically very quickly because Egypt finally negotiates and the dam can be built. South Korea's borders return to normal, and the Chinese invasion of the Philippines starts. Continues. There is a very brutal war because the Philippines does not want to lose, but that northern island is occupied by China. So yeah, that is the beginning of the World War. And if you would like to see a part 2, because of course the rest still has a chance if America decides to join, because of course World War II was basically won because America decided to join. But yeah, that's basically all this video. Goodbye.